raspberries, blueberries, strawberries. You're all of the berries. I love you and appreciate you. Did you know that? PulseX is buy and burn. I love and appreciate that. I'm going to show you something that you can appreciate when it comes to the buy and burn, friends. We've got some lovely information to go through today. So recently I made this post. I keep making these posts over and over again. The PulseX buy and burn ticked up now to 3.35%. If you've been watching my channel, I mean, it was like at 2.5, then 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, then all the way to 6, 2.6, you know what I mean? And it keeps going, then hit 3%. Now we're at 3.35%. So because there's a 20 trillion coins, every single time it goes from like 3.33, 3.34, 3.35, every one bip there, that's 2 billion PulseX. So at day one stack, every day pretty much, it's every 1 to 2 days, that's $200,000 worth bought. Crazy. Bought and thrown off the market. Now, I'm not going to start to keep talking about this burning part because people unfortunately have their minds warped from the fake burning narratives from the previous cycles. This is a buy and burn, friends. It's literally a drunken Michael Saylor. They're buying it. It gets thrown in. It can never, ever be resurrected. It's the best thing ever. You're literally purchasing off the supermarket shelf. And it's beautiful because this is happening from the economic activity within the game. You know, this is funny, friends. No one gets it. Of course, everyone laughed at me and they spat on me while I told you I enjoyed picking Squirtle. PulseX has the best utility in freaking crypto. That's right. It was a laughing stock. We all spat on each other. Everybody spat on us. Oh, everybody was swapping spit everywhere. Please keep your back straight, like, subscribe, bell button on. Why does it have the best utility? It's because the biggest use case in crypto is casino trading. That's it. Swapping of assets. That's the biggest use case. People want to gamble. Now, they used to do it on centralized exchanges, right? Which is where a lot of it still happens. But the future is decentralized exchanges. So it's basically decentralized gambling when you think about it. But it's like saying the stock market is gambling too. It is, right? It's just, you know, it's gambling, but with different odds, right? So when it comes to PulseX, the economic activity, the degen swapping, the buy and burn comes in and it gets to chew up the supply. Now, this is where it gets nice because you can actually calculate if nothing moved extra from here. Literally, there's no growth. It's the same amount of people, the same amount of activity. We just continue today. PulseX does a 4x in 1.5 years. And you can calculate that. You can see from here. Let's continue, okay? So I mentioned it here, right? If we continue at this pace, why? See, look at this, friends. If you zoom into the very, very bottom, you see it says this liquidity, 1 trillion of PulseX. So that's telling you how much is sitting on the supermarket shelf. 1 trillion out there. That's actually very thick for a coin, by the way. To have 1 trillion out of 20, that's pretty big, right? That's 5%. Normally, coins are about 1%, but it's artificially big. Why? It's because everybody's in there to yield farm. It's because, you know, the ink token goes up and everyone just wants to leave it in there. And there's nothing else to do with the coin. But I'm sure in the future, as you give more use cases for PulseX from, like, you know, money market protocols and all these other things, I'm sure probably people start to like seek yield there. But for now, the yield farming, the yield is great to make everything bonding, right? Now, here's the thing, right? Because it's Uniswap V2 fork, that's what PulseX is. Basically, if you double the offer, you get 4x of the price because of the formula. So if you do 2x of the offer, you get a square of that. The price goes up 4x. If you do a 10x of the offer, you will get 100x. You go, wow, that's all we need. But, you know, there's not really. That assumes nobody combats you to sell along the way. So that's why it's unrealistic. But that's to show you, if we just continue at this pace, this is 1 trillion. How many times, friends, you got 1,000? That's 1,000 billions. So 1,000 billions divided by 2 billion every day. It's about 500 days. You know, it could be about, you know, you can add like a bit of a multiplier on there. So you get about 2 years. So if you want to be conservative, in 2 years, 4x. But, you know, it's not so simple because big players can keep capping it, etc. You know, so that's the downside unrealistic expectation. But also the upside unrealistic expectation is you believe everybody just keeps making this noise and then no one new joins in. So that's unrealistic as well. So they balance out. But if you just equated them as the same, if you just kept at this pace, it's literally up only. Okay, not financial advice. Once again, friends, you can see aside here, we have a little jiggly boy, Jigglypuff here, over here, one of our newest captured Pokemon, BitBoy, Ben Armstrong. Shout out to BitBoy. Right, he's now a friend of the PulseX community. He actually always was, friends. It's just that we got to get him to like, he's got to see the light a bit. We got to tell him like, look, man, XRP, all right, good community, sweet, but okay, there's faster horses now. There's faster horses. At some point, you got to hedge yourself a bit. You got to go, well, what if my friend Somi literally wearing a Pokemon hat? What if he's right? So he's got to have to make a truce with everyone. Say, hey, look, XRP community, I still love you and appreciate you. It's just that if these things continue to succeed, even if you take just 25% of your XRP and you put it into Pulse Chain, that rotation will absolutely kill it. Think about that. Think of people who have 10 grand in XRP. If they just put 2,500 in Pulse and then it does a 50x, okay, that 2.5K becomes 100K, pretty much, even a bit more, okay? And what if XRP and it does like a 2 or 3x? Now they believe XRP is doing 1,000x, but you get the point, okay? So look at all these beautiful things happen. Does XRP have a buy and burn? Nope. Does Cardano have a buy and burn? Nope. Now their DEXs, they just don't, friends. They're not doing as much volume. And just Cardano as well. I love you, Charles Hoskinson, and everyone else in there. I'm just letting you know, like, you're in a third cycle now. Okay, you're joining Ethereum in your third cycle curse. And PulseX is doing much more volume, man. But Cardano's volume, friends, they're only doing $6 to $9 million per day. We can check the latest readings. I mean, all the information needs to see. It's a big difference. Compare 6 to 9 million to $57 million for PulseX. Oh, man, like, come on, Habib, like, why are we 9x undervalued, you know? We know why, friends. It's less than a year old and stuff. It takes time, but just showing you, it takes time. But hey, trend is up, and you have this buy and burn happening. This is beautiful part, friends. I get to share this with all of you. It's wonderful that we can just go through this. So this buy and burn, I spent a lot of time talking to you about it because I'm just trying to open the community's eyes to let them know that this is utility. This is, you actually want utility? This is it. Well, it's fascinating to me that everyone says they want utility, and then Richard Hart gives you the utility you want, and everyone's like, nah, trash. I don't want it. I want something else. I don't even believe it's utility, you know? Friends, I know a lot of you guys, Brandon, right, Mr. Brandon B, talking about, you know, PulseX and single side stake and all these, and man, I know Richard why he was like, he's like, are you guys serious? Like, you just want a single side stake. You guys have literally the greatest economic utility right now. It's literally, friends, you own the casino. You own Vegas here. Okay, there's no shortage of bored people. That's it. That's another way to put it. Everyone's bored and everyone's poor. If Pulse Chain makes anybody rich by solving the poor part, the trading volume, okay, it routes to PulseX. If any of the meme coins, let's say everybody gets poor from meme coins, okay, which they won't, but let's say every meme coin goes to zero. It entertains you along the way. And entertainment means trading back and forth, people flipping up and down. Yes, it also routes through PulseX. So you get both cases. You benefit of both, right? You know, I also saw this article, Ethereum, friends. See, Ethereum is the index for altcoins. Why? It's because all the good big ideas, they start on Ethereum, and everybody has to buy it, and it benefits from the whole ecosystem and all, you know, Uniswap and Chainlink and everything growing, all the complexities of the apps. And it's true. However, Ethereum's now big. Ethereum's now its third cycle curse, right? And that's it. You're not early to it anymore. But I think it's great, right? You can actually calculate these, man. It's beautiful to actually know these from a formula. I mean, isn't this crazy? You solve it for the formula. Now, you never solve supply and demand because people can come and act outside their will. But at least you know, man, you're going to do 4x over the next 2 years. You might think that's worth nothing. No, that's worth a lot, friend. That's worth a lot. The fact that you don't have to grow, that means PulseX, Pulse Chain, the ranking doesn't have to increase. You don't have to do anything, friends. Just everybody's just got to keep yelling. Just keep yelling for 2 years, and we just do 4x. You know, that's wonderful. Now, important also because if you're in a meme coin, an altcoin, maybe you're in Solana, maybe you get an airdrop, maybe you're just planning around these Pulse Chain altcoins. And let's say you rotate out somewhere, take some profit. Well, sweet. Now you know, okay, sweet. PulseX is accelerating over time. And the charts, right? The charts, friends, they are important, but you know we got a long way to go. Like if you put this on a log chart as well, you just get to see, wow, these are the big ones. I mean, this is nuts. I've calculated around the ratios here and there, but this is just wow to see this. You can also, I've also got a chart of the ratio of HEX, and it is right here. So this is PulseX versus HEX. And I've just switched it to the ratio. All right, this is actually PulseX HEX. This ratio is really important. This is, you can't ignore this. I'm sorry, like this. I love HEX. I love the community. It's just facts are facts. This is like swooping. You can't fake this. This is not accidental. This is enormous. Effectively, what's happening? This is a weekly chart, by the way. Enormous. Okay, enormous. And you have flipped green on the weekly super trend, and now you're making your way up. So effectively, what this means is, okay, at some point in the future, so what I'm going to do is, friends, let's just guess. Let's have some fun. This is April 2025. This is where 3 out of 3 times altcoins have peaked. And what we can actually do is we can draw a vertical line just to have some fun. You go, okay, altcoin music. Now, if at this point, this finishes here, anywhere along this line up, pretty much, I mean, you can even just go like right here, anywhere along this line. That means, okay, anywhere here, PulseX outperformed HEX. And if it, from today, if it finishes or anywhere down here, it means HEX won. Okay, so that's your basically where you're trying to like estimate where it's going to be. And you can actually figure out, try to reverse engineer. Now, you're just guessing, right? I've got to repeat to you, we are fully guessing. And I'll just be honest, got to say this out loud. If Richard or anybody else who may or may not be a duck, or anyone who knows the world's biggest Ethereum wallet address that owns DAI, or the origin address, or any of those people, if they don't like the ratio and they think HEX is too low, they'll make a move. Okay, so, however, my theories and philosophies and friendship and kindness and eating cookies and cream, it's natural market forces. But I'm just, like, it's, Michael Chad Saylor uses this example. He goes, where is your economic model when Godzilla steps in your pinball machine? Okay, I thought it was a very funny analogy. And also, where did he say that? At literally $60,000 top, all right? So it was people asking about cycles and stuff. So effectively means is all your models can just be broken apart by a big whale. That's another way to say it. So if this is left to natural market forces, though, think about it. HEX inflates at 8 to 9%. And once again, just, I don't want to go out and just bother. No one really cares about these types of information, but I'll just share with you. So it's for marketing and branding, and it's basically like twisting a bit, right? The imaging or the branding. HEX's inflation, friends, technically, all right, what they say is, well, okay, if you count all the origin address coins, the inflation is 3.69%. But because there's origin address coins and it's not really dumped out all the same time and everyone's staked out, it's only like 1.8% inflation. But you know that's not true. If you remove the origin address coins, the real inflation per year is still like 7 to 9%. It just means there's a lot of yield and that's coming out. So that's just something to think about. So you have plus 6 to 7, 8, 9% coming out there. And then you have these sporadic, basically like bursts of supply. So in December this year, you're going to have giant 5-year stake unlocks as well. It's people, and trust me, friends, I know they're believers. They ain't saving anything. Okay, they're click and sell. All right, they're like, hey, I waited 5 years, bang. That's another thing to contribute. PulseX, no inflation at all. So you have inflation of HEX, deflation of PulseX, and there's forced buy and burn from the economic activity. So logically, you just think by natural market forces that PulseX travels up over time. And we can just play some fun with it. Let's say you believed the PulseX to HEX ratio ends up here one day. That's another 2x from here. What does that mean? Let's say it actually does. It finishes up here in April 2025. Now, this is a ratio. So this could mean, for example, that, I mean, flat out, PulseX does 200x, HEX does a 100x. That's another scenario. You could also say that's also equivalent to PulseX doing 20x from today, which is about 25 billion valuation, and then HEX does a 10x from today. And then total HEX as well would be about, I think, also around at 20 billion valuation. So it would be almost roughly the same. That's one way to get to that ratio. So what I try to do is just try to see, okay, where are natural market forces taking this ratio? Okay, if the ratio is getting there, what prices do they give us? So that's how I kind of figured out, okay, if ETH BTC, let's go look at the big daddy, because this is where it all comes from. If you look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, what I try to do is, and you get these wrong, you get everything wrong, I try to see, all right, in the next bull market, somewhere in 2025, Can ETH BTC be like 0.1 here? Can it be at this ratio? All right, 0.1. I think it can. And what does 0.1 mean? Well, it means Ethereum is 10% of Bitcoin's price. And that's why I just thought to my mind, oh, I wonder if that means, you know, like Bitcoin 80K, Ethereum 8,000. Another thing to just share with you, friends. That's why you can tell when people throw out $250,000 Bitcoin targets, they're going to get you wrecked. Why? It's because you can look at the ETH BTC ratio. You know, friends, there's no chance trillions of dollars enter Bitcoin and nothing enters Ethereum. You know there's no chance of that happening, okay? Because we're all here for smart contracts. Now, if Ethereum is 10% of Bitcoin's price, and these people are telling me, like Adam Back has got a $700,000 Bitcoin price target to flip gold, you're effectively telling me, all right, that you're telling me Ethereum is $70,000 at that point, okay? You might say, oh, why can't it be? You can't get that, friends. Ethereum at 1 trillion valuation is $9,200. So if you're going to give Ethereum an $8 trillion valuation, it's just now you're teetering on the size of near China's GDP. Like, I believe it's going to happen over time. And yes, they can keep running and theoretically come putting it. The problem with this is, one, there's no more diminishing cycles. Like, you've broken like the parabola of you've now done exponential returns when we know there's less and less people coming in terms of a rate. Number one. Number two, everybody gets too rich. And you know that world doesn't happen. You know, if Bitcoin, friends, if Bitcoin goes to $250,000 and Ethereum, by its ratio, it has to be basically $25,000. Like, that's another 10x from here. That means every altcoin, even the crap ones, they do 30x to 100x range. So they're all doing basically a 50x from here. And you just look around you. Do you honestly think, ask yourself, do you honestly think every person in Litecoin, Solana, right, BNB, even go down the line, Avalanche, you're telling me every single person, hundreds and thousands, millions of people, everybody who has just 20 grand, you're telling me they're going to be worth $1 million in 15 months. Every single person, just the 20 grand people. And you're telling me people with $1 million are going to be worth $100 million in 15 months? I don't think so. I mean, we couldn't even get that with infinite QE. 0% rates, $16 trillion in negative yielding bonds, Elon Musk shitting Bitcoin, right? And trying to pump and dump it. We couldn't even get it with that. So that's why I'm just showing you, playing these ratios, going strong, going long, it goes a very, very long way. And you will be rewarded for that. It's just that you got to be kind of accepting what your reward is. Your reward is not going to be 1,000x for you and then everyone else gets 100x. It's not going to be that. It might just be you get 30 to 50x and everyone else gets 3, but they don't get out at the 3x and they just round trip it. Like, subscribe, belly button, all friends. Catch you soon.